Are you planning to buy a pool in the near future and preparing to meet with a project designer for the very first time? My friends, you're at the right place because in today's video we're going to give you the top 5 things you need to have prepared to make your time most effective. The first thing you want to have in order, you want to have on hand, is a copy of the plat of your property. Now, the plat should reflect all existing structures to scale on one document, and it should contain all the property lines for the parcel you plan to build the pool on. Now, most likely, if you just recently built your home or you recently purchased your home, you already have a copy of the plat. And it's either in an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, 11 by 14, or maybe even a larger size document. If you don't have a plat, you can contact your local building and zoning government offices to obtain a copy. If one is not available there, you're going to need to have a survey done. Now, just know that when you're building a pool, the plat is necessary to obtain the proper building permits, and in which case you're going to have that document anyway, so you might as well go ahead and plan to have a survey performed now. As for the second, third, fourth, and fifth things that you're going to need, well, this is really a set of photographs that you yourself can take with your phone on your property to help give the project designer a very good concept of what's going on in and around your home. So let's start at the top and out by the driveway. The first photo you're going to want to take is of the entrance to your property, so the driveway. Specifically, what we're looking for is the shrubbery, the trees. We're looking for overhead power lines. We're also looking to determine about how wide the driveway is and what is the access like approaching your driveway. Is there room to park equipment and trucks outside of the driveway? Is the driveway wide enough to swing in trucks and large trailers onto the property? Are overhead power lines impeding the use of equipment out and near the driveway? These are all the things we're trying to determine about the entrance into your property. So to take this photograph, you want to hold your phone sideways. This is called landscape, and you want to stand several car lengths away from the entrance of your driveway or standing across the street to get as much of the property entrance in one frame as possible. Alright, now that we've got that taken, the second photograph you're going to need to take is of the front of your home to include the side yards or the access points to get into the backyard. Now, specifically, what are we looking for here? We are looking to see if the side yard is wide enough to fit an excavator down or to fit the fiberglass pool shell through. You see, that entrance, that side yard, needs to be a minimum of 12 feet wide to get an excavator through, and that's going to be tight. We're trying to get an idea through the photograph whether or not special equipment is going to need to be on hand to get into the back of the property and whether or not the side yard is wide enough to fit a pool through. If it's not, then we know that we need to build in a cost to have the pool craned over the home to set into the backyard. So make sure you have the entire front of the house in view, as well as access to the side yards. As for the third photograph you need to take, this is really a set of 3 different images. And what we'd like you to do here is walk out the back door of your home and approach the place in your yard or from your back deck where you can overlook where your pool is going to be. What we want you to do is snap 3 different images, one to the right, one to the middle, and one to the left. All 3 together would encompass the entire space which your pool is going to be. Now, we ask that you not use panoramic mode that is available on most modern cell phones these days. Instead, just take 3 regular photographs holding your phone in a landscape position. What we're looking for here is just to get a general sense for the layout of your property. Where are the trees located? Is there a fence that may need to be removed? We're also going to be looking at the ground to find out if there's perhaps a well point or if there is a septic tank nearby. So we're trying to get a lay of the land and get a sense for all of the things that are there and visually present through the photographs. The fourth image you're going to take is probably the most important in this entire list, and that's to assess the slope of your backyard. Now, every yard has some slope, and this is to allow water runoff to go from the home away from the property. The question is how much. Now, it might be difficult for you to determine that, and it might be difficult for you to visually see just how much slope there is. But it's a critical step for us to assess to determine whether or not your pool project may or may not need a retaining wall built into the design. So how do you go about taking this image? Well, if you were to stand at one side of your property and face where the pool location is going to be in such a way that one end of the photograph, again, holding your phone in landscape mode, that one end of your photograph shows the high side of the property, most likely that of the house, and the other side would show the lowest point of the property in the frame. So the idea is that your property slopes away from the home across the photograph. Now, before you snap the photograph, we want to get this image as straight as possible. We also want something in the photograph that can give us a bit of scale. So a basketball or somebody standing at one end of the picture would be just fine. That's going to give us some scale. The other thing we're going to need is to make sure that that image is straight to the home and somewhat level. So you can do this one of two ways. Number one, you can use the thirds grid that is available on your phone if that feature is on. If you know how to turn it on, that's great. You can use those lines to line up with something like a tree that is growing straight up or the side of your home to make sure that the image is straight. The other thing you could do, and this is a very simple hack, is to take the image on your phone and line up one side of the frame with a vertical feature on your home. So think something like the outside corner, a tall window, or some vertical trim. By lining up the outside edge of the frame with one of those on your home, you can guarantee that the image is going to be straight and represent the slope of your yard pretty darn well. We'll handle it from there. We'll pull out our simple rise over run equation and be able to estimate the slope in your backyard to determine whether or not a retaining wall is going to be necessary. Now, you might be asking, if you have one of those odd driveways, Christian, what do I do if my driveway is a bit challenging, say in a snowstorm? It's steep or it's kind of windy. Do you need to know about that? Well, we would love to know about that, how steep it is, how long it is, how windy it is, and so any images you can provide of that would be super helpful. Be mindful, though, that in the case of the driveway we photographed to shoot this video, as we stand at the top of the driveway, you can't really tell that it's very steep at all. So we devised a clever way so that you could convey this information to your builder remotely. Now, go grab that basketball or soccer ball or anything else that's going to roll down a hill and get one of your kids or your spouse, significant other, and have them stand at the bottom. What you're going to do is you're going to video from the top the ball rolling down your driveway. What this is going to tell us is, one, how long the driveway is, or at least an estimate of that. And two, by watching how fast the ball rolls down, we're going to get a pretty darn good sense for how steep the driveway is. In this case, it takes an image which doesn't show us any scale at all in terms of how steep or how long the driveway is compared to where we are in the home. And now we have some frame of reference to understand this is a very steep driveway and it's a very long driveway. So let's recap. You're going to need a plat of your property showing all existing structures and contains all of the property lines for the parcel you're going to build the pool on. You're going to need an image showing the entrance to your driveway, an image of the front of the house showing the side yards, as well as images showing where you want the pool positioned, and lastly, sending us an image that shows the slope of the yard going from one side of the image to the next. And if you're one of the lucky that has one of those odd and very unique driveways, well, send us a video clip of the ball rolling down so we have a sense for how steep and how long that driveway is. Okay, so now that you have all of these images and a plat in hand, what do you do with them? Well, you can package them up digitally and send them off via email to the project designer ahead of an in-person meeting, or most likely these days, ahead of a virtual call. A virtual call is very handy because it saves time and travel, and of course with social distancing at the forefront of our minds right now, it's the most viable way to conduct a meeting. Alright guys, I'm Christian with River Pools. You are quite prepared now to have your first meeting with a project designer, and this is an exciting time because, my friends, you're talking about having a pool installed in your backyard. We can't wait to meet with you. You are a little pool wiser today, my friends, and we will see you in a future video. Catch the wave.